Go ahead, Shane.
Okay. All right. Awesome, you guys. Hey, thank you guys so much for showing up for the webinar today. This is going to be a 4-part series that we're doing. This is our second part. What we're going to be talking about today is identifying your audience and how to create brand awareness. And if you need copies of the first presentation, obviously Francisca or anybody at the SBDC will be able to give those to be able to take a look at that. And then obviously this will be foundational. So they all kind of play on each other. We also have one next Tuesday and next Thursday as well. So as some of you have already been on the first presentation, I'm going to go into a little bit on who I am. I'm going to make it somewhat quick just so you kind of understand my credentials and what I've done. I am a digital strategist and a brand influencer. I've been in marketing for about 25 years in the digital space ever since it was called digital marketing. I do influencer marketing. I do content marketing, SEO, online PR, and I also have worked with a number of Fortune 500 companies, work with celebrities that have products that they sell online like ebooks and everything. And I did a lot of PR work in Los Angeles for a lot of really A-list celebrities. My nighttime job is I'm an instructor at UCLA. I actually helped create the personal branding, how to be an influencer course at UCLA, and I usually would fly down there once a week. Now, if obviously we're not doing it in person anymore, we're doing it online. Some of the places I've been featured, interviews that I've done, what's in The Atlantic, USA Today, Entrepreneur.com, Vice, ABC News, have been in the media for, once again, been interviewed a number of times in that. And I also write thought leadership posts on a number of different posts or websites, Inc., Forbes, Huffington Post, Social Media Examiner. There's about 120 in total that myself and my team write for. And the other thing that I always talk about when we talk about these types of webinars, I think it's important for people, anytime I see a webinar, it's like, it's great that the person says they do certain things, but I think it's important that you also have the actual proof to back up what you're educating people on. And so one of the things that I pride myself on is that my actual website, shanebarker.com, we actually index for about 2,500 keywords. We're on the first page. So what I mean by that is I have probably 600 articles and tons of content on that we share for free. We share that to the community because we want people to be able to come to the website, sign up for the newsletter, and be able to get the information that they need to learn about influencer marketing, content marketing, SEO. We're going to go into some of that here today in the presentation. But once again, the keywords that I have to go after, I'm going after keywords that some of the biggest, the best marketers in the world are going after. So highly competitive space, but I pride myself in what we've done over the last 7 or 8 years. And I get about 180,000 visitors. So, when it comes to driving traffic and the right type of traffic, all of my leads, anything that I do other than the SBDC presentations, is all my leads come from my website. So I don't have like a 10-person sales team. So once again, a lot of good things happening there because we're getting inbound leads that are coming in. And I have about 66,000 followers on through all the social media profiles that I have. So what we're going to talk about today, there's going to be a number of things, is how to define your audience persona, right? So it's important to be able to understand, when you're selling something, when you're putting something out there, is exactly who is the person, who's the individual or group of individuals that would want to buy your product or your service. How to build an online audience is another thing we're going to talk about. How to conduct a competitor analysis, right? Then one of the easiest things to do is say, hey, let's go look at our competitors. Let's see what's working for them, and why reinvent the wheel? Let's do something similar but better. And we'll talk about how you can look at that. What is online marketing? Kind of give a better idea of what the premise of that is. Industry-specific online marketing channels. So we'll talk about the different marketing channels and which ones are best for which type of business you have. And then how to leverage online marketing to promote your store. So the first session that we did last Tuesday was, once again, more about putting your website online, getting a website URL, using hosting, getting your website up. And now what we're going to talk about is now getting some kind of persona and driving some traffic there. And then we'll also talk about some pro tips and some examples. So defining your audience persona. So essentially you have to know your audience before you start marketing, right? The key to this is that how do you know where you want to market or who you want to market to if you don't know who your audience is? So we're going to talk about that a little later on in the next slide, but it's important to think about who is look at your historically, if you have a offline business, look at the people that come into your store and most of the people that buy, and you say, hey, it's women between 18 and 24, and they have this kind of car and they do this kind of thing and they like these types of products. Great. That's your persona. So you really say, okay, if I'm going to go do a Facebook ad or I'm going to do, maybe a Google ad, it really needs to be towards that demographic, because we look at that and say, okay, that's going to be what we think is our perfect client. Knowing your audience helps you to personalize your marketing, right? So why you wouldn't put, if you have your audience is mainly female between 18 and 24, you really don't want to put some kind of campaign out there that's going to be more tailored towards men, because that's not who you're going after. So it's important to know that persona, and then define a target audience using demographics, location, and their interest. We'll talk about that. And split your target audience into multiple personas. So name each persona. So once again, you can have different types of people that buy your product, right? You can say our main group is, once again, females or women between 18 and 24, but we also have men between 35 and 42 that is our second buyer persona. You can have multiple personas, and sometimes you can even go after other groups that you think, we don't have tons of people buying that, but we think online these individuals would like our product for whatever reasons. And you can test those markets as well and test those personas. But defining the characteristics of each persona, list the interests and the problems that they have, right? So if you have a product or a service and they have a certain pain point, your audience has a certain pain point, you want to make sure in your messaging, you want to talk about that pain point. Because the point of it is for you to pull on some emotional strings, or get somebody to see something and go, you know what, that's actually me. And I actually want to click on that ad because I'm having those issues, right? Like these days we would say, hey, if I was putting something out, I would say, hey, are you having a problem finding leads? Are you having a problem getting your business online? And you would see that on Facebook and go, yes, Shane, that's my problem. I'm having issues. Please help me. You'd click on the ad, and then hopefully we'd set up some kind of consultation. And then you can use this information once again to better target who you're going after. So once again, when it comes to audience personas, you can look it up online. You can put in, how do I figure out my audience persona? There's going to be all kinds of information there. I even have some stuff on my website as well. But the main things you're going to be looking at is age, gender, location, interests, education, income level, buying motives or buying motivation, and then buying concerns. You don't have to answer all of those if you don't, but you really want to answer as many of those as possible. So if you see here on the side, I have Rachel. She's a small business owner. She's social media. She's a key decision maker, which is important. The demographics are, she's obviously a female between 39 or 32 and 39. She makes $90,000 a year. Urban location, master's degree, married, no kids, and wants to save time online. Finds interesting content to share, maximizes social media resources, and then how we can help is schedule posts to a queue and content suggestions. So I'm looking at here, this is who Rachel is, and her pain points is that she needs more time. And what we need to do is be able to figure out how we can help her schedule her content. So those are kind of her pain points. You might not have every single one of these pieces, but the idea is to fill out this audience persona or buyer persona as best as possible. So another thing to think about is competitors may not be the same as your brick and mortar. So when you're actually going and looking at buyer personas, the buyer persona online could be a little different than what you saw in your brick and mortar store, but at least that's a good place to start. Figure out your competition, and once again in the space. But this is when we're talking about competitor analysis. So figure out your competitors online and say, I think these are our 3 competitors. Take a look at what they're doing. Look at their websites, look at social, look at how they're doing things. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel if somebody's already doing something and has some success at it. And look at how their customers perceive them, right? And what the people are saying online. If they're saying, hey, this is not right, you shouldn't be doing this, great, then you probably shouldn't do that, right? But there's a lot of information on seeing what the competition is doing, where if they've spent hard marketing dollars, and you can go in and take a look at it and see what's working. You can identify the industry trends as well. You can look and see maybe they're doing something that you didn't think about doing. That's the whole point of taking a look at the competitor analysis. Essentially, you want to know where you stand in the comparison to your competitors. So you can say, hey, our competitors have been online for 5 years. They're creating blog posts once a week, and they're doing great on social media. We aren't doing that, and this is where we need to improve. So we just need to do 1 blog post a month just to get something going. And then until we can kind of get some revenue going, we can start generating, obviously, some more interest. But you have to put a plan together. You have to look at, hey, our competitors are here. We are here. What do we need to do to be able to take it to that next level? You can help you understand their strategies. Once again, look into what they're doing. You can figure out what works for them, what doesn't, as we talked about, can replicate their strategies and even improve them. Once again, look at what they're doing and you say, hey, we can do that, but we can do it a little bit better, and this is how we can go about doing it. And then it also helps you figure out how to attract your target audience. Assuming that you have the same target audience, hey, if your competitors, we're assuming that you do, then you can also take a look at, the type of content they're producing. So once again, if yours is, it's females or women between 18 and 24, and their content, they put out great ads that obviously are going after that demographic, you have to say, okay, maybe we have the same demographic and we should create ads that are somewhat similar. So I'm going to talk about some tools that you can use for competitor analysis, and there's a number of things you can look at. One of the tools that we use, or actually two of them, is SEMrush and then BuzzSumo, and I'm going to kind of go into those in detail. You actually can go into SEMrush and you can actually put in a URL of your competitor, and this is mainly going to give you the information about their backlinks. It's going to give information about how much traffic they get. It's not exact, but it's going to be pretty close to exact. So we'll kind of talk about that here. So with SEMrush, you can actually, you can find gaps in keywords. It's called a keyword gap tool. So you can find out, so when we talk about SEO, which is search engine optimization, that is when you put a keyword in Google and then obviously certain results pop up. The goal is to be number one for those, what we call high intent keywords. So if I was looking for, I'm in Sacramento, California, and so if I'm looking for a digital marketing specialist in Sacramento, that's a high intent keyword because somebody's looking for me, trying to find me. So what I would want to do is be number one for that keyword. Now, a low intent keyword would be digital specialist. Okay, they're looking for a digital specialist, but they're not looking in my area, and there's probably going to be tons of people that are going to compete. It's still a good keyword, but it doesn't have the high intent that looking for a digital specialist in Sacramento, California. Very high intent, absolutely looking for me, and I need to be number one for that keyword. So you can look at your competitors and find out which keywords they're indexing number one for, and if that's a keyword you want to index for, you can find that here, and the keyword gap tool will help you find that. It's possible to find new backlinks opportunities using the backlink audit tool. You can dive into deeper depths of your competitors' traffic through traffic analytics. Once again, you can actually compare your website to your competitor's website, and it'll tell you, hey, they're better in these keywords, you're better in these keywords, and this is where you need to improve. And you can conduct thorough market research, and it's possible to do advertising research on competitors. You also can look at the ads that they're doing for PPC. Those also pop up in the search, so you can see the types of article or types of marketing they're doing in regards to either videos or static images or just content they're putting out. So this is actually this is the domain overview feature. So you can kind of see here that this is actually my website. So you can kind of see the traffic that we're getting. And so this right here, so if you were my competitor, you could go put in my website and you could see, hey, for how to be an influencer, Shane is number one. He's getting 6,600 searches. How to be an influencer, 2,400. And if you say, wow, you know what, how to be an influencer, I'm going to create a course around that, and I want to move Shane out of the way, then you would know that's a great keyword to go after. And then you can actually click on that keyword and it'll tell you exactly what I've done to be successful with that and what you need to do to outrank me. So anyways, it's a great tool to be able to take a look at what your competitors are doing and see where they're at and see what you can do to improve. Another thing you can do in regards to, this is what we're going to talk about is the online marketing. So you can use the internet to promote your brand, obviously. You can leverage email, social, search engines, and more. So email marketing, social media, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and then search engines being mainly Google is the main search engine. You have Bing and some other search engines as well. And then advertising your brand through digital media instead of traditional media. Traditional being maybe flyers, banners, any kind of billboards, anything like that. So how can you build your online audience now, or your audience online? I will tell you that it does take some time, no different than when you open your brick and mortar. It takes time for people to start coming in your store and getting used to you. It's the same thing with building an audience online. It doesn't happen overnight. It will take some time, but you'll see some great benefits once this happens. So what you need to do is once again, identify your target customer using demographics, locations, and interests, as we talked about. You want to build your story. So everybody loves a good story. So I'll give you an example. If you're trying a glass of wine and you're like, wow, this is a really great glass of wine. And then all of a sudden the person that made the wine comes up and says, hey, let me tell you a little story about this wine. And the thing is, this wine came over as my uncle that came over 200 years ago. He had one wood nickel in his pocket, and he had one seed, and he planted this seed, and he built this thing up, and this is what he's done. And this actually wine is actually from that one seed from 200 years ago, and now we're 4 generations into the wine business, and once again, here it is. And now you're trying it, you're going, wow, this tastes amazing, because there's a story behind it. People love to have a story behind something. Like, what did you do? What did you to go through to be able to get here today? And that's the reason why you go to wineries and you go to different places. They'll have a story and somebody telling the story on why they produce that, because people enjoy that. And then create useful and informative content. We'll talk about that. And distribute your content through various online marketing channels. So before we get all this started, you have to figure out what your budget is, because one of the hardest parts about marketing is there's so many things you can do. And of course, everything you do takes either time or money. So what you have to look at is marketing budgets can help you figure out which channels to use, right? So you're saying, hey, I'm going to spend $1,000 here. I want to spend $5,000. I'm going to spend $10,000. That's fine. And then you have to figure out, how you're going to put in what we call KPIs, key performance indicators, or goals, right? So you're saying, hey, with this, we want to spend $1,000, and our goal is to get $2,000 in sales, or to help build up our brand awareness, or to build more people into this community. And then you can decide how much money to allocate to these channels. Budgets should account for all of your marketing costs, right? Or all of your online marketing costs. And a budget should include employees' wages, tools, everything, right? So you're saying, hey, I'm going to hire somebody to help me with this. We're going to put an ad budget together of $1,000, and then we're going to have to get Canva to be able to create some banners. I mean, you just have to look at that as the overall cost that you want to spend. And marketing budgets should be about 7 to 8% of your revenue. If you need to grow faster, then you should obviously increase that as we kind of look at this. So online marketing channels, these are the 4 that we're going to go over today. Is content marketing, SEO, which is search engine optimization. If you put a keyword in Google and becoming #1 in that, in the index, social media marketing, and then email marketing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the best channels for each industry as well. And this isn't the end all be all. Like if you're in health, it's not that you should only do content marketing, because you can do other things as well. But with health content marketing, a lot of people are inquiring, they'll go and put something like, what happens if my scalp itches? What should I do? Well, your content marketing can be, if you're a scalp itching cream that you have, right? Then what you would do is you'd create content that would answer the individual questions on why is your scalp, itchy, and then what are the solutions? And then so people are looking for that. Travel, social media marketing, obviously like Instagram, any kind of lifestyle. Travel is, this isn't happening as quite as frequent as it did in the past. And think after COVID, it'll move back up after we get some things in place. But travel, social media marketing, real estate, search engine, SEO, search engine optimization, trying to be #1 on Google for, real estate agent, Austin, Texas. Those are things, sometimes you have big players that are in the way, and you have to get a little frisky on how you're going to be #1 for certain terms, but there's definitely ways to do that. I'll talk about that a little later in the presentation. Automobiles, so if you're so you own an automobile company or something like that, you can obviously search engine optimization or SEO, be #1 for, automobiles, or Ford in Austin, Texas, or looking for a used vehicle in Austin, Texas. And then food and dining. So social media marketing, obviously it's very visually based. Instagram is a great place, TikTok, if you're into that. There's other ways, once again, very visually pleasing. People want to use that. And then beauty and wellness, also social media marketing, once again, Instagram, anything lifestyle. Once again, big plays there in Instagram, any place where influencer marketing is a big contender. Some of the other industries, I put influencer marketing for beauty and wellness as well. Manufacturing is kind of content marketing. Like if people are asking specific questions about something of a pain point they have, you can be manufacturing something that will help them make their life easier, make it simpler. Financial services, content marketing, like, how much should I invest in my 401k, right? Those types of questions where you can become #1 when you're answering the question for somebody and they go, that makes sense. I think I want to do this. Who should I reach out to? Why don't I reach out to the financial company where I just found the answer? Fashion influencer marketing obviously is a big play there. Tech content marketing, fitness is also influencer marketing, and I think some social media as well. So once again, these aren't the only industries, the only channels that you can use for the industry, but it's definitely a good place to start. So Best marketing channels for B2B. When we talk about B2B, B2B is business to business marketing, right? So that's not business to consumer, which would be B2C. I'll talk about that next, but this is B2B. And so if you look at the channels producing with leads for the highest ROI, ROI is return on investment. So I spend $1 and I want to make $2 back. So they say search 46%. So that's where people are for business to business. That's search is what they're doing. And search is going to be once again SEO, where you're doing search engine optimization. You're optimizing for a certain keyword or keywords. Live events, which I will explain what live events are. These are the things that we used to have before COVID. Now we're not seeing too many of those, unfortunately. Over time, obviously, we'll see more of these and more, like I said, we'll be able to start doing more live events, hopefully in the next year or so. Social, which social media, email obviously is a big player as well. If you have an email list, you can send out emails to your list and talk to them about different things that you're doing for either COVID, helping your clients, whatever that may be. Retargeting, which is where if somebody comes to your website, what happens is, I'll give you an example. If you go to Amazon and you look at the TV that's, whatever, 50 feet wide, and as your husband's looking at it, go, God, I want that TV. And then all of a sudden he goes over to Facebook, and then guess what pops up in the ads? It says, hey, buy this 50-foot TV. And you're like, hey, we just looked at that. Well, that's remarketing. They're remarketing to somebody that's already been on their website. Content marketing, which is once again creating videos, blog posts, anything like that, where you're producing something, putting it out there to drive traffic, educate, anything like that. Print, obviously flyers, anything like that you put out. PPC, which is pay-per-click advertising, where you can be #1 on Google for a term where, and when he clicks on it, you pay $1, $2, $5 for that to be in that position. Same thing with Facebook as well. Telemarketing, where you're using the phone. These are usually the people that call, usually around 5:30 when you're trying to eat dinner with your family, and they're saying, hey, you want to refinance? That's those individuals. And then 19% are others that we look at. So the best marketing channels for B2C, now this is business to consumer. So this is if you work directly with consumers. Here goes the things for nurturing. This is for your target audience. So 80% right now, they say to nurture, once again, to get in front of these individuals is email marketing campaigns. Most people, about 80%. Educational content. So that's where we talk about writing a blog post. So there's a pain point. My pain point is, should I invest 10 grand into my IRA? And then all of a sudden it says, hey, the best way to invest money into your IRA, that's the content you create. I read it. I go, great, that makes sense. Now, how do I get an IRA set up? Well, I talked to John's financial company where I just read the content. Clear call to actions for next steps. Once again, CTAs, it's called call to action, where you go to a website and it says, inquire today, get a free demo, you can call now, whatever that is, where it's telling the individuals exactly what to do. Offer incentives, say buy one, get one free, things like that. Storytelling related to the audience, where you're telling your story of your business and how it's relatable to the audience. Hey, I used to be broke, I used to have no money, and then all of a sudden I started jumping into financial planning, and now I have a 5,000 square foot house, I have 2 boats, and you should do what I do. And people go, wow, that's what I want. I'm broke, I want the big boat. Why don't I reach out to Shane? Membership perks, once again, where you get this, and if you do this, we get them. If you go buy 10 burritos, you get 11th one free, anything like that. And then predictive technologies, which is kind of the future, some other stuff we can talk about probably on another webinar. Oops. Hold on, you guys. All right, so we got content marketing. So in regards to content marketing, so this involves content being, once again, it can be blog posts, it can be videos, it can just be stagnant pictures. It involves creating, publishing, and distributing high quality content online. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that depending on the channels that you decide to use. Content could be in the form of a blog post, can be images, videos, infographics. Infographics are like those big, long pictures that you'll see. It's because it has information and it's on a graphic. So you'll see these things that it's like, you kind of scroll down and it's all very picturesque and very, visually pleasing. That's an infographic. And then ebooks, I have those on my website. Hey, you want to learn about influencer marketing, download my ebook, and they can go and click on it and download the ebook and get some information about that. And then you can use content to help, to share helpful information with your audience, educate them, and then valuable content drives your target audience to your brand. And then not outright like being super promotional. So, I will drive somebody to my site and that's reading an SEO article, and I'll say, hey, download my book on how to, 10 things you have to do with SEO. they give me their name, their email address, and then I add them to my newsletter, and now I've got them in the queue, right? And they go and they download the ebook and they use it and they go, that's awesome. And now they're getting my newsletter, which will talk about my products, my services, new blog posts we put out, events I'm going to be speaking at, anything like that. And then content marketing is used with all forms of marketing as well. So once again, you can use it on just about anything in regards to putting out content. I am a content producer. As I said, I write for 120 different websites. I put out a blog post on my blog every 2 days. What we do is that's how we drive traffic, is through content marketing. It does take a while to once it really starts to take place, but once it does, it's a beautiful thing. SEO friendly content written necessarily to rank well in the SERP. So SERP is like where the SERP is the rankings for the search for Google. So we talk about a SERP is like, what is your SERP ranking? So for a certain keyword for Shane Barker Consulting, where am I at in the SERP, which is the search results? So we kind of look at that and we want to say, hey, I want to write content that is going after a specific keyword because I want to be #1 in Google in the search. That's the search intent. And you need to use keywords obviously in your content. If you're producing content in the beginning, you can just produce content, but over time you're going to say, okay, instead of just producing this piece of content, what is the goal? Is it to educate? Is it because I want to be #1 for DUI attorney in Sacramento? So I want to make sure I have that keyword in my article. So I'm #1 for that. So there's strategy behind that. There needs to be, you have to figure out what the intent is of you writing this content. And then content must appeal to the target audience as well. So let's go into content marketing. You'll kind of see this: create valuable content that can be used as a lead magnet. I talked about that earlier. Come to an SEO page. Here are the 10 things you have to do with SEO. That's a lead magnet, where I'm pulling somebody in, it leads them in. It's a magnet. They grab the information and I grab their email and their phone number, or their email address and their name. Write guest blog posts on their sites. That's what I've done. I write for 120 websites. Leverage content syndication by republishing your content. So you'll see on the left-hand side, I put all of my content on my blog, and then a week later, I put it on medium.com. And you'll see here, let's say I'll put half of the article there, and I'll say this post originally appeared on shanebarker.com. And what they can do is click on that and go over to my website to read the rest of the article. So the idea is get them interested, get them excited about it, because Medium has its own readership. They click on the link and then they come over to my website. So we leverage content syndication, by republishing, ensure the other websites have high authoritative, which means they're great websites like Inc, Forbes. If you can write for those sites, and it's awesome because obviously they've got a lot of traffic, high authority, and then Google likes the fact that, it seems like you're a thought leader. Guest posts and syndication, because also if you get leads, traffic, and sales, as I said, that's how I get my traffic, is through guest blog posts and link building, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So this is Beard Brand. So if you're, one of the things is you go, Shane, I want to produce content, but I don't know what kind of content to produce. Well, here we go. This is a company called Beard Brand. And what they do is they produce actually products for beards, for men's beards. And who knew that men were supposed to put all kinds of fun stuff on their beard, but hey, I guess we're supposed to. I'm a little behind on this one, but this is the type of content they're producing because they think, okay, what is the pain point of our audience? How can we pull in the individuals that don't know they should be putting some lotion or something in their beard? And it's just, here we go. Here goes some of the content they produce. Should you grow a long beard? Because that's probably a question that people have put in Google. Should I grow a long beard? And now it goes into the answer of why you should, why you shouldn't. And then guess what happens? It says, if you're going to grow a long beard, you should probably grab this lotion for your beard so that it's, once again, your hair doesn't fall off your beard, or whatever the deal is, right? The other one is 5 genuine reasons to grow a buzz cut. So what they're saying is, we think that people that do buzz cuts also probably have a beard, right? So they're tying those things in together so they create that content. And so you go, well, I was going to cut my hair. Oh, I like it when I cut my hair and I got a big long beard. I look like ZZ Top. Great. There we go. Now that's the article you want to read. And here's another one: what to know before buying a beard straightener. I've never grown my beard long enough to have to straighten it, but if you do, then great. This is the article for you. But you see that all of this content really goes back to their products being the answer, but it's educational. And so they think, what is somebody that has a beard or a buzz cut or is looking to straighten their beard? What kind of content should we produce for them? And so once again, they're answering the questions to individuals that might be growing a beard. So this one right here is actually Winebox. So Winebox, what they do is, obviously it's a wine in a box. And what they've done is they've created a blog that talks strictly about wines. So they'll say Italian wines, what to expect from Verona to Sicily, right? So You look at that, and now what they're doing is they're saying, okay, great. Now if you go and you click on it, you read, oh, I like Italian wines. This is awesome. Guess what they have at the bottom? Here goes our Italian wine in a box. We have this special deal with this vineyard in Italy. Great. Now they're pulling people in and saying, what would our audience look for? Because they might not even know that there's wine in a box. What would they be looking for online, and how can we answer that question? And so now this is educational. Once again, just think about what you think your audience is looking for and how your product ties into that. So SEO, search engine optimization. So we talked about, once again, if you put in a keyword in Google and where you index and where you are in regards to that search. So ranking high in search engine results can obviously bring you more traffic to your store. It also doesn't cost you anything. Now, it does cost you to create the content and to get up there and backlinks. But once you're in that position, it continues to drive traffic for you. And really, so search engine optimization, which is SEO, is the key process for achieving this. There's two components. I'm going to go into them and just kind of a high overview. One is on-page SEO, which is actually on your website. So on-page is on the site. Off-page SEO is off of your website. And so I'll kind of talk about the two differences there. So this is on-page SEO is what we call technical SEO. I'm not going to go heavy into this because it's technical and you'll probably fall asleep. So I don't want that. So what we're looking at here is, this deals with the optimization of your website and its technical parameters. So once again, on page being on your website, on the pages on your website. If you're just starting off, just get some content up. Don't worry about SEO right now. Just get content up consistently, and then we can talk about optimization and keywords and stuff like that. The tools that I use, once again, SEMrush, Ahrefs, and Moz. If you're not doing SEO, don't try to jump into these. I mean, it can become a little confusing, but what it's talking about for on page on your website is crawling errors, HTTP status codes, page load speed, which is how fast your page loads on Google, which is big. Target relevant keywords on your website to rank higher, writing higher quality content, conducting keyword research, target relevant keywords for your website, XML sitemaps. That's a sitemap is where when Google comes to your site, it'll tell it where to go if it's looking for certain terms, right? That helps with the search engines. I look up DUI Sacramento, and then it goes to my website and it says, all right, this is the sitemap. This is where it talks about, if you need an attorney in Sacramento. UI interface, which is once again, the user experience, titles, URLs, and meta descriptions optimization. And then you can follow Google Webmaster Guidelines. If this makes sense to you, awesome, do it. If this is scary, don't do it. Once again, just start producing some content, get your website up. You'll see this right here. So let's say, as I kind of talked about earlier, so Yelp as an example, but let's say they've gone after the term taxi service. So let's say you were saying taxi service in Austin, which would be, let's say you're a taxi company, you're like, that's what we want to be number one for. Well, then what you'll see here is that for taxi service, that Yelp actually put best taxi service in the title, and then in the meta description, they put taxi service twice. And so what Yelp is saying, hey, Google, if somebody is looking for taxi service, we talk about the best taxi services. And then in the titles here, it talks about taxi service. So once again, if you're not doing SEO, if you're looking at this going, I kind of get it, you can reach out to me or any other individuals that are good at SEO, and we can explain this further. I just wanted to show you the reason why this is number one, not to mention Yelp is a very high authoritative and very popular website as well. So keyword research. So conducting keyword research, if you want to look up the keywords, once again, can be SEMrush. Google Keyword Planner is free, so you can go look that up. You can go in there and take a look at keywords. You can check keyword relevance, volume, which is the volume is how many searches are happening. The CPC, cost per click. So if I want to be number one for that keyword, but I say, hey, I want to put an ad up on Google, then Google will say, hey, for $3, you can be number one. So we have, this is where the ads are at. Below is the organic, where, for the search. And then also keyword ranking difficulty. It'll say, hey, for this certain keyword, you have a lot of competitors. Your site's a small site. You're not going to be able to move anybody out of the way. Let's find a better keyword. And then, choose keywords, obviously, with a high volume of search and low difficulty, right? So that's always the hard part, is trying to find high search, low difficulty, and then add keywords naturally in the content to be able to optimize. So improving page load speed. So every second delayed on your page equals a 7% reduction in your conversion rate. And what we mean by that is Well, anytime we go to a website and it just takes forever to load, what do? We're like, oh, I'm just going to get off this website. And so Google knows how fast your page loads. And if it's really slow, they'll put you further down in the rankings, because Google just says, we want the people to have a great user experience. And if your website just is extremely slow, we should just move you off. So that's something to look at. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second, how to look at the page load speed. Choose reliable hosting. Someone's going to use Bluehost and other companies as well. Cloudways is one that's popular. Optimize images and videos. Minimize the JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. That's all code stuff. That's developer stuff. But you can use this site. It's called Google Page Load, or Google Page Speed Insights. You can actually click on this here when we send this out, or you can Google it and just put Google Page Speed Insights, and I'll show you that here in a second, what that will look like. And you can implement improvements mentioned by doing this search. So this is actually my website. So it's an 84. We really should be in the 90s. So, I'm going to talk to the team about that. But you can actually go in here, put in your URL, and it'll tell you, you'll see one is mobile, one is desktop, how fast your site indexes, or how fast your page loads on the thing. You really want to get it as high as possible. If you can get it in the 90s, then that's awesome. You have a higher chance of ranking for certain keywords. So when we look at the off-page SEO, so this is going to be the other side of it. That was on-page. Off-page is like you're dealing with optimization outside, or deals with optimization on variables outside of your website. So one of the things is building links. And when we say building links, a link is going to be, let's say if I'm on Forbes.com and you're reading the article and it has a blue thing and you click on it, you go to another website, that is a backlink. That is a link. So what Google is, so what's happening is Forbes says, hey, Shane Barker is a great marketer, and here goes his website, and you click on that. Google looks at that and says, wow, Forbes is an awesome website. They're saying that Shane's really cool and the guy you should work with. So they bring my site up in the rankings because they go, Shane is being mentioned by high authoritative websites that are recommending him, so he should be higher up in the rankings. So that's what we talk about when we talk about backlinks. Writing guest posts on other sites. As I said, I write for 120, write for some local websites, anything like that to start building up your authority. Getting brand mentions, once again, getting people to talk about you, online PR, and then leveraging social media to get website traffic, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, to put up a piece of content, driving them to your website. And then only try link building and guest blog posts from reputable sites. If not, if you get on really low quality sites and you're writing for them, there's just not a lot of value in that. So you gotta be careful of that. So I regularly write, once again, we talk about the different websites that I write for. If you Google my name, I've literally taken over probably the first 3 pages of Google. Like there's a Shane that's a legislator that he doesn't get any. There's a guy, Shane Barker, out of New Zealand that got murdered. That's terrible. But anyways, I'm just telling you, like any Shane Barker stuff, if you look me up, I've taken over the whole Google, what we call SERP, the search engine, right? The rankings. I've done that for a reason, because if you want to look me up, I want you guys to be able to find me. So the link building, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. So writing guest blog posts for other sites in your niche. So if you are an attorney, you don't want to go write on a insurance website. There's usually not a lot of value there. If you're an attorney, you want to write for other attorney websites. You want to write for other sites that will bring relevant traffic to you, right? Now, if you partnered up with an insurance person and you guys are doing something together, then that makes sense. But if I'm, a digital marketer and I go and put something on a gambling website, like there's no value in doing that. There needs to be somebody that's in your niche. Create better resources and reach out to webmasters, asking them to backlink to you. Hey, I wrote this great article. Would you be willing to add a link in your article that goes to my article because it's a great reference? That could be a good way. Finding broken links. There's another strategy we won't talk about today. And then get natural backlinking for your content you write without any effort. That's if you write a great piece. You write a great article. It's a big, nice article. Tons of people see it and they go, I think this is a great article. I'm going to backlink it naturally to my article because I think it's a great reference. And then list your website in trustworthy directories, and we'll talk about that. So you can take a look at I have 296,000 backlinks. That's but I've been doing this for about 8 years, 9 years. So just remember that, my website. So that's a lot of backlinks, and obviously there's a lot of authority there, but that's why when I write an article, I usually can get on that first page, but it's taken me a long time to get those types of rankings. One thing that you can do for local SEO is you can do it's called Google My Business. It's called, or GMB. Go in there and you Google My Business, and what you need to do, or Bing Places listings, go in and claim that listing. And what you want to do is make sure you have the right information there. And I'll talk about that here in a second, but go and Google My Business. So in other words, write your business in there, and something should come up on Google, and it's called Google My Business. It's the actual listing. You need to go in and claim that and take that back and make sure the information is correct. Get local citations, like as for Foursquare and Yelp, and other sites. So you want to go in and claim those profiles as well. Make sure the rankings, or not the rankings, but the reviews are good. And then encourage customers to write online reviews. That's really important. The better online reviews you get, the higher your rankings will go up on the SERP, or in the search engine optimization, or getting up in the search rankings. And then target local keywords. So talk about local SEO, create local content. So here goes some things right here. It says 46% of all searches on Google are searching for local information. So if you're a local pizzeria and you need to figure out how you're going to produce content for what people are looking for, like what are the 7 best pizza places in Austin? Great, you would be number 1, and you would mention some other competitors that are outside Austin or something like that. But the idea is creating that local content. Add your address and contact information on your website and social media. And then you want to ensure that we call it the NAP, N-A-P, which is name, address, and phone numbers. Make sure those are all correct. So you want to go in and claim these. And if the phone number is not correct, you're losing out on business. If the website's not correct, you're losing out on business. Make sure you claim those directories. So Google My Business, so once again, you can claim it by going into Google, put in your business name, and Google My Business, and enter your business name, and you should have that right there. You can make sure the address, categories, phone number, website, delivery area, all that is correct, and then verify your listings, and then optimize the listings. Once again, you can put in that, hey, you guys have Wi-Fi, here goes your hours, your business phone number, your website. You can really customize it so that somebody can know that you're a legit business and get some information. Do you allow dogs? Do you have a happy hour? All kinds of stuff like that. Make sure you want to include that. And then e-commerce SEO. So this is when we talk about, e-commerce based, when you're selling a product online. You can conduct keyword research to find keywords related to your products or service, design your site architecture based on keyword research. Once again, if you haven't put up a website, just put a website up. This is secondary and third. If you already have your website up and you want to optimize, get it ready to be seen on Google, then these are some of the things you can do. Use on-page and off-page SEO to boost your rankings, and then leverage content marketing to promote your products. So this is when we talked about the backlink gap. So we talked about the keyword gap, where you can go and put in the name of a company, your competitors, and see where you're missing out on keywords. Well, this is a backlink gap, where you can actually go in and put this in, and I can see where my competitors have backlinks that I need to get backlinks. And so this is more of an advanced strategy. I wouldn't recommend this if you don't know how to do SEO, but the idea of it is to see where I'm lacking and where I can go in and I can optimize. So social media marketing. So promoting your brand and products by building a presence on social media, creating and sharing the content regularly, right? So you put a piece of content out, you share it through social media, and then promoting products and services, driving traffic to your site. So anytime you produce a piece, you should be always trying to get them to go back to your website. Not every single time, but the goal is to drive the traffic to your site. You talk about an employee of the month, you talk about the new food you just came out with, and you say, hey, check out our new menu. Like, the idea is to push them back to the website. Add business information and reviews. Hey, thank you, John Smith in Austin, for writing this great review about our ice cream company. There you go, so that it shows that people like your stuff. And then solve customers' problems, issues by communicating with them. Once again, if there's an issue with anything, you always want to try to take it offline with that. Best practices is publish new content, once again, regularly. Respond to your customers and address their concerns if there's any issues. Reply to your customers' comments. Schedule posts to go out automatically. You can use software for this. There's a lot of them, but we use Buffer, but there's a lot of them. You can go and schedule your social media content to go out at certain times during the month. We spend one day and just put it all out there, or get it scheduled out. Complete your social media profiles. Make sure those are all complete. This is an example of, this is actually a company, it's an athletic wear company, and you'll see what they do is they have great content. They put it on, because it's a lifestyle company, they put a lot of great content on Facebook and on Instagram. They do videos, they share all types of content. Just, you can kind of take a look at this and see, over time, you're not going to get anybody liking stuff, but start producing great content, people will like it, they'll start sharing it, and you really start to see some traction, but it does take some time. So leveraging gated content. So gated content is where I have a piece of content, once again, somebody comes to my site, it says, hey, here goes 10 things that you need to know about SEO to change your search engine rankings. And then, but to be able to see that, you need to give me your email address, or you need to do this. That's gated content. You want to see the content, but there's a gate in front of it. To remove that gate, you give me your name and your email address and phone number, address, whatever. So what you can do, once again, get them to fill out a form, can help you get qualified leads, right? Because I know that if you're downloading something about SEO, search engine optimization, that you're probably going to be a good client for me because you're looking to get better rankings. Share your gated content on multiple channels, repurpose gated content for social media, and then leverage paid promotions to grow your search as well. So contests and giveaways are another great way to drive traffic. You'll see this is a live event baseball, which we're not seeing too much of right now. Well, not where people can go to, but you can offer, through social media, you can offer a freebie or a contest where you can offer free tickets, free something, give them a sense of urgency, like, hey, these are the things you need to do. This is the giveaway ends at this time, and this is what you can do. And this is the rewards of sharing this content or putting it out there. So just take a look at what your competitors are doing or other people in other industries and say, hey, we can also do the same thing, and how you can get creative in offering giveaways and giving stuff away. And you can collaborate with influencers, which is a creative way as well. And then just, once again, the idea is to drive traffic to the website. So email marketing. So we use emails to promote your brand online. What you want to do is you pull people into your website and you say, hey, join our newsletter. If you have the content that's gated, they can get their email there, and you put them on. Now you get them in this queue of sending them emails about updates on products, services, employees, things that are going on in the community. The goal of this obviously is to keep them engaged. And then, so if anything happens on any of your social channels, it gets taken down something, you have email that you can always send emails out and notify people. Once again, sending regular updates. You can do also, tell people about, 10% off of this, 20% off of this. This is what we're doing in the community. It just keeps people updated. It doesn't always have to be promotional. This was an example of a Kate Spade that after you signed up, she said thank you and says tell you to continue to shop. So email marketing, setting up email responders. I'm not going to go heavy into that today because there's a lot that goes into that. But the idea is that if you say, hey, you want this, the SEO tools that you need, you get that, and give me your name, your email. Then all of a sudden you get a PDF. And then what happens is in that PDF after that, it'll say, hey, it'll start talking about services, start talking about things you can do, and then put you on the newsletter. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. It's called there's like sales funnels. I'm not going to go heavy into that today, but the idea of email marketing is that, once you pull in the email, you figure out what are you going to do after that? How are you going to keep them engaged? And then once again, you're writing compelling copy, you're just keeping them engaged in your product. This will happen with a lot of the bigger brands. You go and you sign up, you get 10% off, and now they're giving you these emails every single day. I get them from like Chaco's, I get them from all these brands that want to sell me more sandals or more whatever. And it's, once again, you can take a look at those in regards to that. This is Get Response. They have a great email responder, but I'm not, like I said, don't want to go heavy into that today. But I do want to give you the key takeaways to this. Is the things you have to do is get your target audience and define your audience persona, right? So figure out who you think your target audience is and who exactly that person is and what is their persona. Like, what is the perfect customer for you and the secondary perfect customer and the third, and how are you going to market to them? Take a look at your competitors and get the analysis from them so you can get the upper hand, figure out what they're doing, and then just do it a little bit better or a lot better. Online marketing, got to figure out what are the different online marketing methods, right? On which channels you want to go after and what type of content you want to produce, and strategies to build your online audience. Once again, it doesn't happen overnight. No different than when you opened your brick and mortar location. You didn't have people slamming on your doors right away. It takes time to be able to build that. And then also an in-depth look into content marketing, SEO, social media marketing, and potentially email marketing. You don't have to do all of these things at once. Really, I would focus on a little bit, doing a few things at once on each one of the channels and doing some things. Don't make it, if it becomes too big of a task, you're not going to do it. So don't get overwhelmed with that. You just want to start somewhere and just kind of get the ball rolling. All right, so next we're going to have questions. I do want to tell you once again, thank you guys so much. This is the second of a 4-part series. So we have next Tuesday and next Thursday. If you want to reach out to me directly about any questions in regards to social media, e-commerce, digital marketing, influencer marketing, advisor@shanebarker.com is my personal email for all SBDC related stuff. We can talk about what it would take to be able to help you guys. And huge, big thanks to the Texas University SBDC for putting this on. They're obviously doing big things to help the community. We understand that it's with COVID and everything going on, there's just a huge need to be able to bring your business online and to be able to start generating some revenue. And we're here to help. So that's it.
Thank you, Shane. If anybody has any questions, and if it's a little bit easier, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask those questions.
Don't be shy. There's no dumb questions. I want to reiterate that. So any questions you have, please. If not, you can also reach out to me through email as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For email marketing, who do you recommend? There's so many out there. And I own a funeral home, if that helps.
Yeah. What do you own?
A funeral home.
Okay. So I would say that, I mean, really the big one is MailChimp, right? I think that's kind of the big player. There's a lot of other ones as well. It just depends on how big your list is. So MailChimp will charge you on how many people you're sending the emails out to. So if it's 500, I don't think there's any charge. I think if it's 1,500 or 2,500, there's a charge. So they have a lot of different functionality. There's a lot of other players out there, but MailChimp is kind of the big one. They've got great functionality, and it just depends. If you have a huge email list, then there's other ones that will be better in regards to segmenting the list. But if you're just trying to keep it simple, I think MailChimp is a good way to go.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, Sabrina.
There's another one. Go ahead.
Sorry. All right, this is Genevieve. I'm going to go ahead with a pretty quick question, which was for B2B service companies in the construction space, for example, how important do you think it is to have local listings on Yelp? It's not a consumer-driven business. It's more a select list of architects, developers, those types of customers. So I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, so Yelp is, I'm going to try to be nice. So Yelp is kind of a necessary evil sometimes, because I know Yelp will, nothing against Yelp, but they'll give businesses a call and say, hey, you have to be on, and then you got to pay. So this is the thing. If you go and search the company, your company name, and Yelp is one of the first listings that show up, then you probably should go ahead and activate that profile and potentially be on there for people looking up, because what it can be is a great resource for reviews. So if people have 10 great reviews on Yelp and I'm looking to maybe hire your company and I see on Yelp that you have 10 great reviews, that's going to get me one step closer to hiring you. If Yelp is not on that first or second page, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it right now. But once again, if it is there, then you do want to activate it. You do want to get reviews on there, and you do want it to be a positive profile for you.
Okay, fair enough. I don't find that a lot of customers comment on it because our target customers are big developers and so on.
Yeah.
So I'll take a look. I'll Google it and see where we show up. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, it looks like we have one from, let me make sure. Eloisa, I'm going to send that to you. And then we have one from Rick. So if you are not at a point where you're ready to produce content for a blog and or newsletter, what is the best way to source or use other content?
So say that again. So what was, I just want to make sure I got the question correct.
If you're not at a point where you're ready to produce content for a blog and or newsletter, what is the best way to source or use other content?
Well, the thing is it's a lot easier to produce content. So what you have to realize, if you're doing content for, let's say, your blog, if you don't have money and if you don't have the time, then that's okay. You can't do it. But you have to realize that I write for 120 sites, but I don't write every single article. I have a team of writers that now write for me that continue to generate that. So you can find, if you're going to put out some content, what I would do is you can put a brief together. Hey, this is what we want to talk about. These are some of the points. And you can hire a writer for pretty nominal cost to be able to write that content and put that content out there. It just depends on what your product and your service is. It is important that you're putting some type of content out, because every article you put on your blog is another piece of real estate on Google. So I wrote, as you can see, I'm number one on first page for 2,500 or whatever it is keywords. Well, it's because I write articles all the time. Those are all pieces of real estate on Google that drive my traffic. So you really do want to write blog articles. I'm a content producer, so I say as many as you can. If it's once a month, that's great. If you can do it once a week, that's awesome. If you can do it once a day, then it's super epic. But you just have to figure out what you need to do. There's ways to do it that you don't have to take the headache on of writing it, because most people don't like writing blog posts. There's other individuals out there that you can pay to be able to, if you put a brief together, or they'll even put the brief together for you and look at the keywords and figure out what you should do content-wise.
Okay, thanks for that.
For the blogs?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
For blog posting, is that just like you would type it up and then put it on your website, or you just type it up and then throw it out as a post on Facebook? Where are you actually putting this blog? Do you have to go to like a blog website specifically to have it?
Yes, you have your company name. Like, so mine is shanebarker.com, and it's /blog. So what happens is my blog posts are out there, how to do SEO, how to do influencer marketing, right? Like, and then what happens is people see that article, they come into my website, and then they can see the services on the side. So like in your situation, so you have a funeral home, what you would talk about, what are the 10 things that you need to do if your loved one just passed away, right? Because if my grandma just passed away, I'm not thinking straight, what do I need to do? Here goes the list. And the list is, hey, you need to contact this, you need to cancel this, you need to do this. And now people are reading this. And your last thing is you also need to obviously make funeral arrangements. And obviously that's something that we can help with, right? So you have to think about what is the person that's in distress and, it's just lost a loved one. What are the questions in their mind? What do I need to do because I'm all over the place? I just lost a loved one. What do I need to do? Well, now what you need to do is produce content that will help answer the questions of what they're looking at online, with you being the answer that you can obviously help with funeral services.
Okay, so that is actually on my website.
On your website. So when you put that on your website, now what you do is you take that link and you can put it on LinkedIn and you can put it on Facebook, and you say, hey, if you've lost a loved one, here goes the 10 things that you need to do, and you can share it all through your social. They read that, they click on it, now they'll come over to your website and they'll see your services. So the goal is to always push people to your website. That's where your money is at. So we always want to push people to the website.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have another one from Mahani. Thank you, Shane. You're awesome. Thank you, SBDC. What is too many emails? It may be industry related, but for a marketing tool, how many emails a month is optimum?
So are we talking about how many emails to send out?
I think so.
Okay. Also, I want to tell you, you're awesome too, by the way. I want to thank you for the compliment. I'll take those all day long. So, I mean, that's a great question. So, I mean, how many emails is too many? I think it depends on what type of content you're putting out there. If it is informational, it doesn't always have to be salesy. Like I used to send out an email once a day, and I kind of started looking at my open rate started to go down. And so what we did is we started changing the subject lines. Now I send it out about twice a week. You want to make sure the information you're sending out, once again, isn't always about how awesome you are. What I do is I'll do like, hey, here goes the great blog posts about SEO. And so then people will go and they love that type of content. And then after maybe 15 emails, I'll talk about my SEO services. So it really, I wouldn't say it has to be done daily. It really comes down to your product and service and how much content you really have to share. If you're like, we don't have tons to share, great. You can do one newsletter at the end of the month, one time. If you have a lot of stuff to share, if the CEO is out there doing speaking events and is doing this and is doing charity events and is helping the world and, has this great program on people that have been affected by COVID, great. You need to get those messages out sooner than later. We don't want to wait a whole month. But it really just comes down to what you're sharing and if you think it's going to be valuable to your audience. Because the goal is give them value, and then you tell them, hey, guess what? Now we have these services as well. And they go, okay, great. I want to sign up. I've been reading all this great stuff from you. I know that you're good at SEO or whatever that is. And now I want to actually hire you.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, next one, and this may be one that you need to discuss off the webinar. It's from Eloisa. I own a residential cleaning business and my clientele is going through a lot of changes. Can you guide me into how to research their today needs? Where do they comment about this?
So you're talking about residential as in cleaning services, like you clean properties? Correct. Gotcha. I actually have a customer that I'm working with right now that's, they're commercial, they do commercial buildings. And so they're kind of having some of the same issues. With the residential, I mean, it really comes down to, obviously, if people are losing their jobs and don't have money and stuff like that, that's obviously going to be difficult. What I would do is that you have your current customer base, that loves you, right? Because you're doing an awesome job. Like honestly, if you were in Sacramento, California, I would hire you right now because I actually need that. But you're a little far away and it would probably be too far of a commute. But anyways, what you need to do is you need to work on less about finding where people are talking about it. You need to work on your current database, and you have, let's say, 10 people that you clean their houses. Talk to them and say, hey, Jennifer, I've been working with you for the last 2 years. It's been awesome. Do you know anybody else in your network that might need cleaning services? I'll offer you a $10 gift card. Or maybe you're just already good friends and they're naturally going to recommend you, because you're going to get a lot more people that are going to want to sign up for your services if it comes from a warm introduction. Like if you were cleaning my house and I said, she does an awesome job, I'll refer you to my mom, to my aunt, to my cousin, because I want to refer good people. And so you really want to work in your current network and figure out how you can get recommendations from your current network instead of going and trying to find new people. There's also, you can get flyers created, and just hand those around to the neighborhood and say, hey, I'm local, I'm here. If anybody needs any help with getting their house cleaned, we do the first one, it's 50% off, whatever. You can run a deal or not run a deal. I know the first house cleaning is always the worst because it's terrible. It's usually super, super dirty. So maybe that's not the best idea. But the point is there's definitely ways to get creative and get out there. But your current database of customers are the ones you want to tap into.
Awesome, thank you. I don't see any other questions. I do want to restate, for our upcoming workshops, please go to our website. The link is included, and then take a minute to complete our survey as well. I think with that, we'll close it out. I appreciate you for joining us, everybody, today. And again, thank you, Shane, for today's lively conversation, and we will see y'all next week.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Have an awesome week.
Thank you.